Hi everyone, we are presenting on the Americanization of British political campaigns. Our thesis would be British political campaigns should not be seen as being Americanized, but rather having advanced from professionalism and technological advancement. And our research question would be, to what extent should the Britain's political landscape be seen as having undergone Americanization? So why did we choose this topic? The most distinctive American contribution, viewed primarily in quasi-negative terms in these articles to the European system, is the increasingly professionalization of their political communication practices. Such professionalization of Americanization is rampant both in the political parties' campaign machineries and in the media covering election campaign. One of the most important aspects is that campaigns are increasingly being conducted and controlled by media managers, public relations professionals, and pollsters. USA is universally acknowledged as the leader in campaign innovation, historically the first to embrace the paraphernalia of political marketing, but by no means necessarily the source of worldwide trends. Features of modern campaigning would include political marketing, personalization, and escalating levels of technological sophistication. So why not we see it as politicians adapting to changing media and electoral environments? Now, defining Americanization, it is a one-way flow of unique ideologies that stems from the United States of America. And coming to Americanization versus globalization, assumptions of Americanization implies a one-way flow of influence, while processes of globalization could imply, at least conceptually, a two-way flow, a relationship of reciprocity. Now, the key differences would be versus the recipients versus the react.
So why do people always talk about the Americanization of Britain? So, let us first understand the ties that bind the US and the UK. The Second World War marked the beginning of a strong alliance between the US and the UK. One major result of this was the special relationship between the two countries, coined and popularized by Winston Churchill. The British foreign policy was also generally accommodative of American interests. For example, the British eventually dismantled the imperial preference system and supported the multilateral world economy favored by the Americans. In addition, the US provided financial support to a bankrupt British Empire via the Anglo-American loan of $3.78 billion in 1946. Also, the implementation of the Marshall Plan brought about the formation of the Anglo-American Council on Productivity. This had a heavy influence on the way the British approached their domestic politics. This in part led to a managerial revolution in the UK, which management became increasingly professionalized. From this, we can understand why people refer to the process of professionalization of British domestic politics as being Americanized, with full-time professional and management science being entrenched in British society. Now, to give you a better understanding of the structure of British political campaign model, we'll be looking at the House of Commons. The House of Commons is from the political system in Britain and is governed by 650 members forming the House of Commons. This House of Commons is elected for 5 years. The voters will get to decide which party is to govern, and the leader of the party becomes the Prime Minister. Each party goal is to get the most number of seats elected to the House of Commons. The Prime Minister only has to win a seat in the constituency which he represents, which is unlike the US. Therefore, party leaders do not appear or are rarely named in their own national party advertisement. So therefore, with an understanding of the political structure of Britain and her special relationship with the US, we will now be able to give you a better understanding of the changes in Britain's political campaign, which we believe to have been inaccurately described as being Americanized.
Marketing has become a key aspect of political campaigns. Political marketing is the process by which political candidates and parties promote themselves and their platforms to voters through masterly crafted communications and media. The USA has historically been the first to fully embrace the art of political marketing and has been acknowledged as the leader in campaign innovation, but to what extent can it be said that it is setting the course for the rest of the world, including Britain? Whereas in the 1955 general election, all political news was banned from the TV and appeared only in newspapers, by 1959, the Conservatives became the first party that sought the advice of the agency of Coleman, Prentice, and Varley to aid their campaign. Currently, the campaign for the next general election begins as soon as the existing one is completed, and increasing attention is paid to the top personalities of the parties. Thus, a general election has come to revolve around the election of a prime minister. Therefore, what we witness is the personalization of British politics, or the shift in focus away from institution parties and more towards individuals. Similarly, we are witnessing the emergence of phenomena such as the BBC election debate, wildly resembling the USA presidential debates, which date back to the 1960s. Many have also compared the recent Piggate affair to the smear campaigns which dominate US presidential elections. On the other hand, manifestos and party politics remain at the center of British political scene, and unlike the US, funding for national campaigns remains limited by rules and regulations. However, if the Americanization of political campaigning in Western Europe is predominantly affected by US international political consultants operating in domestic European markets to which they must adapt and with a different audience to which they must cater to, then it may be more appropriate to speak of a multi-way process of globalization rather than a one-way process of Americanization. And alternatively, is this new method of political campaigning not simply a form of professionalization and therefore the result of a modernizing and globalizing world?
Modern professionalization of political campaigns claim to be qualitatively different in two main aspects: specialization and displacement. Specialization of British campaigns. We can observe an explosion of new communication technologies over the last 40 years that fostered a profusion of ancillary careers and jobs that cater to political campaigns. Such careers, for example, include specialists such as technical experts, poll managers, and political advisors, and even public relation managers, distinguishing between the old and the new, but describing them as capital-intensive and labor-intensive methods. So, labor-intensive campaigns are where large amount of party manpower is allocated to the campaign process, and it's also the traditional method, while the capital-intensive method sees a lot more of outsourcing to professionals. So this was seen as more modern and also more American. This brings me to the point of displacement. So party strategies have been displaced by non-party professional strategies. The professionalization of campaigns made non-party individuals more central to the campaign strategies and policy making. These non-party specialists are perceived to possess expertise essential to winning elections. So why am I talking about these? So no doubt this is evident in American party politics, with huge amount of money spent on these non-party professionals. However, why see it as a uniquely American method, but the result of the increasing modernization of political campaign processes and changing methodologies? Should we not then place it into a greater context of advancing technology? Instead, can we really say that this is from America just because America is further along in the process? Therefore, our group sees it as less of a process of Americanization, rather as an advancement of political campaign methods in the general context.
There has been a rise in the utilization of various technologies in British political campaign. Hence, let's take a look at the usage of technologies in Britain's political campaign. Traditionally, Britain's political parties were given airtime to reach out to the masses via television and radio. It will be done via party political election broadcasts, where different parties will be given a certain amount of time to broadcast their political message to the masses. Currently, we are seeing a rising trend and interest in political debates similar to US. This could be seen with the very first leaders debate in 2010 general election, where the leaders of various political parties were invited to debate and discuss various issues and policies. It shares many similarities to the American presidential style debates from the way it is conducted and the nature of the debate. With the rise of social media, political leaders in Britain can be seen to be mirroring their American counterparts by setting up accounts in Twitter and Facebook and engaging tech-savvy masses with their views. However, there are fundamental differences that separate the two. For example, Britain has strict rules implemented to curb spending and the time allocated for the broadcasts and debates. There were definitely instances of broadcasts that were cut off mid-air after exceeding time. Hence, we can see that the British political debates and forms of advertisements as seen relatively more as addendums than the core of the political party campaigns as compared to US. To summarize, British politics should not be seen as being Americanized. Indeed, there are similarities between both nations' politics in recent times. However, we cannot ignore the trends and indigenous reactions from individuals in the political landscape of Britain and the impacts of technological advancements and how it has transformed the campaign processes. To solely attribute it to being Americanized would be woefully myopic. Rather, our group prompts you to attempt to understand it in the wider context of a modernizing world.